Welcome back to part 6 in our last episode of a 6-part series. In today's video, we will style the list element, adding margins so it's easier to read. We will also style the block quote element, learning how to center the text vertically as well as horizontally, using margins and the Google Chrome Inspect tool. And we will briefly see what collapsing margins does. Last, we will see how adding border radius to the main element can change the way the site looks. Finally, we will take off all the borders and look at our finished project. So let's get started. I'm not going to create a class for the list items, just going to do li. We only have one here for this project again. I want a border though. You know I want a border, and I want a green border this time. Let's do green. Okay, let's copy this. Let's paste it down here. Okay. Yeah, Will's border crazy. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's look at our border. So this is the list items. Okay, the unordered list box is purple. The list items are green. So we are going to style the list items. And the only thing I want to do here is I want to increase the margin. I think they're just too close to each other. We're going to go 16 pixels all around. So we're going to increase the margin around all of these by 16 pixels. Make it easier to read, easier to see. So let's go and add that. So let's say margin. And remember, 16 pixels is 1.6 rem. And there we go. And let's see what, oh, it's looking good. Let's see. Okay, let's open it up. And there we go. That's exactly what I want. Okay, that's all we're going to do there. And that is looking much better, much easier to read. Look at that. Great. Okay, great. And then the next thing we need to do is the block quote. And the block quote basically is going to be our last section. And it's right here. Okay, on the right side, we want to style that. So let's put in block quote. We're not going to add a class to this. So on the block quote, the first thing we want to do is, of course, we want to add a border. All right, you're like, another border? Okay, let's put it, and this time, let's make the border, how about we do violet? Not green, but violet. That sounds good, violet. Okay, let's look down here. There it is. Oh, nice little violet color right down there on the right side. Okay, so after that, we want to make the font style italic. So it's called font style and italic. Okay, and you see how it changed it to italic down here. Great. And then let's put semicolon there. And now max width. Remember we did the max width with the unordered list? We're going to do the max width here as well. Except we're going to make this a little bit smaller. So we're going to do a max width of 54.5 rem, which is 545 pixels. So let's open that up and see what it looks like. Okay, so you see how it's like this? It's going to be a little bit shorter than the unordered list, but we need to get that centered. Remember how to center that? We did that before. We need to do auto on the left and right. But look at this. Okay, again, we have, it looks like it's 50 pixels here, but we need to center it here. So how are we going to center that? Let's go take a look. Let's go look in our inspect. And I want to talk about the last thing here, and let's open this up. So let's go into our, let's find first our block quote, which is right here, block quote. And let's scroll down to the square or the box model. So it says, look, it has 16 pixels on the top, right? 16 pixels on the top, 16 on the bottom, and then 40 on the right and left. But if we go to the UL right here, let's just close that. If we go to the UL unordered list, remember we added 50 pixels. So look at that, look at right there between the purple and the violet, it says 50 pixels. But what happened to the the margin that we just looked at over on the block quote when it says the margin of 16 pixels? Well, what happened is there's a thing called collapsing margins. Now, I'm not going to go into collapsing margins in this video because it's long enough. But just so you know, if you have two margins and one is larger than the other, the one that's larger is going to take over and the other one is going to collapse. So if we look here, the top margin of the block quote is 16 pixels. And if we go to the UL, the bottom margin of the UL is 50 pixels. So that means basically the 50 pixels are going to win and the 16 pixels are going to disappear. That's why when I click here, you can see between here and here, that takes up the whole space. So basically, it's only 50 pixels here and here. So we are going to have to add 50 pixels down at the bottom margin here. And we're going to do 0 at the top, 50 down here. And then remember, on margin, to center it, we have to go left and right as auto, and that will center that block horizontally. So let's go and do that. And so let's go put our margin in here. Great. And we're going to do, again, 0 on the top, 0 on the top. And we're going to do auto on the right, 50, which is going to be 5 REM on the bottom, and then auto on the left. And let's take a look at that. And let's close this out here. There we go. And perfect. So it's underneath. It's a little bit shorter than the top one because this is 54.5 rem rather than 55 rem. And it is centered. See, we got 50 pixels here and 50 pixels here. So it's starting to look very good. And let's come back here. Now, I want to text align left again here because I want the text to come over there. Let's see. So we're going to do text align and then left to clean up that text. And let's take a look. There it is, text align left. It is right there. Perfect. The last thing I want to do, I want to show you what a border radius does. And we're going to go back to the main div at the top, all the way at the top just about, and which is right here, line 17. And it's the blue border here. And I'm going to take those borders off in a second. But let me show you, okay? I'm going to do border radius. And we're going to do, I'm going to start off with 5 REM. That's 50 pixels, 5 REM. And you can see how that looks. Border radius of 50 pixels. It bends the top corners and the bottom corners as well, all the way down here. You can do a percentage if you want there too. So if you don't have to do rem, you can do, let's say 50%. And that will make it kind of very circular. And see, like there, we don't want that, but there, that's what it looks like right there. Border radius is pretty cool, but we don't like that, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to do 3 rem, which is 30 pixels. So let's see, border radius. I'm going to do 3 rem. And let's see here, and you can choose whatever you like. There it is, 3 rem. It's going to curve it a little bit at the top and curve it a little bit at the bottom right there. Great, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to show you border radius. So I'm going to step out for a second. I'm going to delete all the borders, and we're going to take one more look at this. Okay, I deleted all the borders, believe it or not. So let's make this larger, and you can see the curved corners here at the top. Let's scroll down. Oh, looks good, looks good. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's make it smaller here to the right. And now let's see what it looks like responsive-wise when it gets smaller. So let's go all the way here. So when it gets smaller, and we see it on a cell phone, it hasn't hit the breakpoint yet. Coming soon, and boom, breakpoint right there. Let's see. Okay, so that looks good. Scroll down the timeline. Excellent. I think that looks pretty good. Not bad. So now it's time to make your own tribute page with somebody you want to honor. That is the best way to learn how to code. If the information in these videos has been helpful, please like and subscribe because I will be releasing more projects like these shortly. And I would appreciate if you had any comments or questions, you could leave them below. Thank you for watching the full series, and happy coding!